Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a track that needs no introduction. It is Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it is round 3 of Formula Dream. It's the Hoosier Heartland Grand Prix here at one of the most famous sites in racing. Noah, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty amazing. I'm super excited for this. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fast one. It's always fun coming here.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely fun, extremely fast. We never have a shortage of that when we come to Indianapolis. It's always one of the best spectacles that we get here in Formula Dream. Hayden Segovis was last year's winner. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's race info. It's the Hoosier Heartland Grand Prix, not the United States Grand Prix. We already have that one scheduled for later on in the season. I believe that is at Circuit of the Americas this year, the actual U.S. Grand Prix. But we've got 4 corners over 2.5 miles. Should be a beautiful, partly cloudy day. We shouldn't have to worry about weather very much here. Should be a gorgeous one. There's no one able this fastest so far. But yeah, no, do you have anything to add about the track? I mean, it really doesn't need a whole lot of an introduction. But
I don't think this track... those fast cars, the ones that chose the fast pace from the early season are really going to show their advantage today. I think the pit stop will also be an advantage today because that's really what's going to come down to at some points.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be actually a one-stop race this time around, but any team that will have to make 2 stops is going to lose a lot of time. We do see quite a bit of sliding around by those teams running that setup number 5. It's a very slippery setup, that one. We'll take a look at that in just a little bit here. But of course, we got to introduce ourselves. I'm Kyle Tupper. Alongside me is Noah Naidu, back in the box for round 3 of Formula Dream. Should be without any need for introduction now, but we are always delighted to bring you our coverage of Formula Dream racing. We'll go ahead and hop over and take a look at our standings here. That is a very important one to take a look at. As we go ahead and roll our standings. So looking at that, leading things off is Factor Bacon up on top of the driver standings, actually, believe it or not. And in second place is Jeffrey J-Man of Rocket Racing. It takes a while to find our first MMM driver, as although they are leading the team standings, they're only 3rd in the driver standings. But it is Madison Brown in 3rd and Jedi John, last week's race winner, in 4th. In 5th is the Area I Racing car of Steve Durham. In 6th is Hayden Segovis, so we've got 3 MMMs in the top 6. In 7th is Maximovich. 8th is Zibiello. 9th, Fonte. And 10th, Litwinski. Taking a look at the teams, as we mentioned before, MILF Mommy Motors in 1st. The MMM cars have been flying so far in Formula Dream. In 2nd is Team Factor, putting on a strong performance, but still almost 100 points behind MMM. And then 3rd is Inter-Europol Competition. 4th, Rocket Racing. 5th, Precom Racing, last year's champions. 6th is Area. 7th is Shrevehart. 8th is Blue Balls, who will be looking to rebound today with a fast setup. And 9th is Central United. So Noah, any thoughts on the standings as they shake up?
It's kind of disappointing to see Central United doing so bad again after their performance last year. PCR, a little surprising seeing them down in 5th after their performance last year as well. But Team Factor is still being pretty consistent. Interpol is a good one to see up on top as a new team. But other than that, it's pretty much where I would expect it to be.
Yeah, absolutely agreed on all that. Yeah, huge start from MILF Mommy Motors. They have swept the season so far. Also interesting to note, we've got 3 penalty points for James Brown and Jeffrey J-Man. They got to be careful not to hit 5, or else they'll be dropping to the back of the grid for the next race, which is not something you want to see. The next couple races do still have grid space for 26 cars, but we are going to start to get into pre-qualifying territory as well in not too long. So that's just about everything we've got to look at as far as that goes. So we'll go ahead and tune in to qualifying here. It's Casey Lakatos in the area iRacing car leading things off so far. You see Colin Fleabag coming out of the pits. I'm interested to take a look at one of the Blue Balls cars. I believe Bot Brook is out on track, but if we just take a look, those cars are sliding big time through those corners. Look at how sideways the Blue Balls Motorsport cars are getting. Brook has some aero damage as well, might have touched the wall. So we'll take a look at Josh Fogo, who appears to have a clean car, but just take a look going through the corners here, how much he's got to fight that car. So what do you think that's going to mean here in Indianapolis and also at Avis later on in the week, Noah?
I think we're going to see some of these ones that are a little too fast, not be able to make some of the corners, especially at Avis. After that straight, it's going to be interesting to see if they have too much speed and not enough traction.
Yeah, definitely scary to think of how that's going to affect things here in Indianapolis, but I do think it'll be a good thing at Avis. I think they might lose out a little bit here today, but I think that's just what they need at Avis, because they don't really need to be turning all that hard. There is one hairpin, but they're really going to climb out of those corners. The top speed is definitely higher for the Blue Balls cars than it is for anyone else out there on track today. So Josh Fobo is in 10th for Blue Balls Motorsport. Looking through the rest of the qualifying order, it's interesting to see how things are shaking out so far. Noah, anything jumping out to you?
It's good to see an area driver up on top of Casey Lakatos. Other than that, it's really just whoever gets the best time, gets on the track at the best time, and gets the best pole in qualifying here.
Yeah, definitely agree.
It's really
with
what
that.
it seems to be.
As we go on board now with our pole sitter, it's Casey Lakatos. He is looking good out there today. This would be a big race for him to come first in. Also, we take a look at second place. I don't see him on my timing sheet right now, but it's Japheth Barahona, who's not having the greatest of seasons so far. He's got a couple of DNFs. But he's definitely going to want to recover from those couple of DNFs. It's been a rough start to the season for him. He hasn't done all that great so far, and hopefully he can make things work out a little bit better this time around. As Barahona might be in the pits, that might be why he's not showing up for me, so excuse me as I pull up my handy-dandy little configuration tool to make sure everything's looking good.
Pretty good.
Making sure I can see Barahona when he gets on track, although he might be wrecked here. Yeah, it looks like we've had a bit of a dust-up in the pit lane. Oh, good lord! Did you see that? Who just went flipping in the pit lane? I think Keelan Wayne just did a backflip in the pit lane. I saw a pink car go flying. That's Barahona up against the wall, but I did see Wynn go flying as well. Sometimes that does happen. The pit lane is a bit buggy here at Indy. It doesn't really affect the race all that much, but can have an effect on qualifying, as Maximovich has gone fastest. That one slipped out from under our noses there, so Juno Maximovich on pole position so far for IEC. They're looking very good in qualifying so far. They've got first, third, and they've got Litwinski as well, I think, in a good position. Looking at the timing sheets here, we've got Litwinski in fourth, so wow, it could be a great start to the day for IEC. So now, just thinking about this track and how these cars configure with it, what do you expect to see in the race today? Well, what kind of racing? Any dust-ups, any crashes?
There's gonna be a few. There's gonna be definitely. We might see a big one today. Oh wow! Look at the. Oh.
Speaking of the big one, there goes Lewinsky up into the air. He
wow!
Back down onto the pit road.
But yeah, we might see a few of those.
Yeah, you can definitely see a few of those with how close the racing gets. I will say, you see a lot of cars run out wide and bump into the wall. That doesn't always spell disaster if you bang into that sidewall coming out of the turns, but you can't do it more than a couple times or else you're going to be in trouble. So the more that happens, the more damage you're going to end up with. As we take a look here, you see somebody brushed up against the wall there. I think that was Josh Fobo coming on through. We've got about a minute left in the qualifying session here. And still looking to be a dominant performance from IEC to start things off. As we see some pack racing developing already here in qualifying. The slipstream is huge. here at Indy. As there was just a bit of an incident earlier on with that IEC going flipping down the front
Hopefully they'll be able
stretch.
to get that fixed up for race time.
Yeah. I will assume that they will be okay. Even if not, they've got the spare cars. We see some really good battling going on here, actually. Some two-wide racing between all of these cars here, and maybe some good qualifying times will come out of it as well, using that slipstream. As it's kind of hard to pick who to watch here, because there's a lot of good runs going on here. I think Josh Fobo will probably be on a pretty good lap, as will Factor J, but he did have to swerve a little bit there to avoid some contact. Here comes Fobo on through, still not doing the fastest time. I will say, the cars this year are 6 seconds faster around here than they were last year. So that really shows you how much further these cars have come since last season.
See what you did there?
Yeah, I didn't even mean to make a cum joke, but I guess they just kind of write themselves, don't they? But yeah, we're on board with Josh Fobo now. One of the cars running setup 5. Again, we point out how far these cars are sliding. We'll go to the drone cam as well. That gives us a slightly better look at how far these cars slide out through the corners, as you see him going almost completely sideways next to Will Duncan. These cars really fly on out there, as Fobo's going to take it into the pits, as I think the qualify session is over here. As the screen bleeds on to black, we'll take a look at our starting grid here in Indianapolis. We are ready to get rolling here, and it's a fantastic start to things for Area iRacing as well as Inter-Europol competition. They're both having a really, really good day. As I see Will Duncan in the chat talking about needing a crash to make up some spots. That's very true. It's a good point, and we'll definitely see plenty of those. But we'll take you through our starting grid here to start things off. In first place, starting on pole position, is Juno Maksimovic. Brilliant start for her, and an excellent race result, hopefully looming in the balance for IEC. With Casey Licata starting in second for Area iRacing. Third is Jafeth Barahona in that number 21. In fourth is the 01 of Steve Durham. Fifth is Michal Litwinski. Just looking into the inside of the top 5 is the best of the rest. It's Jedi John in the MMM number 23. And then a strong qualifying result for PCR, which actually has an aero-dependent car, so a little bit surprising that they'd be going so quick here. It's Felice Ziviello and Coral in 7th and 8th. In 9th is the number 22 Rocket Racing, another top speed car that hasn't qualified all that well. It's Marcel Lamars. In 10th is Madison Brown, who is challenging for the points lead, and I believe fighting with a couple cars that are also up there. Factor Bacon is one to look out for, but he doesn't appear to be anywhere near the top of the grid. 11th is Josh Fobo, 12th is Jeffrey J-Man, and 13th is Hayden Segovas. As I'll go ahead and pass it on over to Noah to read you the rest of our starting grid.
Starting in 14th, we have Mallory Fonte from Street Farm Motors. Starting 15th is Fleabag from the Blue Balls Motorsports. Followed by Noah Nadeau of Century United Motorsports. Followed by his 2 teammates, James Brown and Kyle Tupper. Starting in 19th, we have Factor J, followed by his teammate of Factor Bacon. Starting in 21st, we have Alex Martin, followed by his teammate, Keelan Wynn. Starting in 23rd, we have Will Duncan of Precom Racing, followed by David Lakers of Rocker Racing. Starting 25th is Bob Brook, and starting 26th is Spencer Brown.
Yep, indeed. So looking good for all these drivers that have qualified up top. A lot of teams kind of sitting bunched up together as they're on the grid now, ready to get things started here. But Noah, anything that you noticed before we get going with the race here? Anything stand out to you?
Nothing really. It's going to be interesting with all these teams bunched up. Hopefully they're able to avoid contact, but it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to push together as teams to towards the front.
Yeah, it's very rare that we get through lap 1 without an incident here at Indy. We will have cars finishing laps down, but just as much we'll have plenty of grandstand finishes, because even when cars go laps down, they tend to get involved in big wrecks, so they all come back out of the pits at the same time. So we never see a shortage of great racing here, and we haven't seen a shortage of great racing. Even in qualifying, we've seen some great side-by-side racing. So, any predictions before we get going, Noah? Who do you think's winning this one?
That's a tough call. I think someone in the mid-pack will end up coming through. Maybe Hayden Segovas. Maybe a Mars from P9.
Interesting call. Okay. Very interesting. I am going to hedge my money on Jafeth Barahona. I think he's far enough to avoid the garbage. He's had tons of pace in the last couple of races, but first it was the pit stop drama at Kyalami, and then it was just an unlucky DNF at Interlagos. Both times he had really good race pace. I think he's going to have good race pace today, and I think being up towards the front is going to help him avoid a lot of that garbage. He's up there with some stable cars. The setup 5 cars that are going to be sliding are further back towards the pack. I'm expecting to see some incidents down in the 15th area with Colin Fleabag, maybe 11th. Josh Fobo could cause some issues as well on setup 5. So yeah, time will tell, I think. I think it's going to be another good day for MMM, but an even better day for IEC. But only time will tell, and I think we're ready to get into the race here as we see the lights go up. 6 lights up. And 6 lights down. We are racing here at Indianapolis. The standing start goes off without a hitch so far as Casey Lakatos gets out well to start. He's in first place. He's jumped high up into first. The IEC's all bunched up together, all 3 ducks in a row as they slide on through the first corner. We look at the middle of the pack here as the chaos will start to unfold here. Hopefully no big wrecks to speak of yet. Does look to be okay so far. As Casey Lakatos and Maximovich right next to each other, racing down the backstretch. Here comes Maximovich diving into first place. He's got the nose ahead. Lakatos is going to have to yield, and I feel like this is a battle that's going to continue to develop as the race goes on, as we see a couple cars make some pretty heavy contact with the wall on the exit of turn 3. Noah, anything you've noticed from the start?
They seem to keep it clean so far. I don't know if that's going to be able to continue, but we're just going to have to see as this race goes on. But so far, so good.
Yes, it is so far so good. I agree with you on that. Maximovich sets the fastest lap. Lakatos dives back into P1. So fastest lap for Maximovich, but Lakatos gets the last lap. And so far, we've had clean racing. I'm very impressed with this. So far, usually we see a massive shunt at some point, but it hasn't happened yet. It's always good to see. As we've got lots of side-by-side racing into the pack. Look at this. We've got 3 wide up ahead. Jedi John leading that 3 wide pack. As we've got moves happening all through the field here. Ooh, another big contact by an MMM. That's... Oh, here it is! Here's the big one! And it's Jedi John into the wall. He takes Coral with him, and a couple cars are going to go heavily into each other here.
Yeah. Wow.
As they're wrecking hard, I think most of the field has managed to move on through. Actually, Jedi John has kept it ongoing. It's only really Coral that's getting out poorly from that. So a big, scary incident there. And fortunately, it looks like we've got quite a few survivors. That was the big wreck that we expected.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
No, it did not take long so far. Noah, thank you for the sub to Central United. I appreciate that. Did you already set up our affiliate?
I just got to set up with the, as I was doing in the background as you were talking there, because I knew I needed my number for the 2-factor, so I just was going there and setting it up, so it's all good now.
Attaboy, you'd love to see it. As we've got great racing up towards the front as well. Lakatos not able to shake Maximovich, although he has pulled a bit of a gap, and the teammates Barahona and Litwinski are really going at it here for IEC.
And not only did I set it up, it's also September, so it'll only cost $3 this month to sub.
There you go. Shameless plug. So if anybody does want to help us out and drop a sub to Central United, we've just set up our affiliate program. So congrats to us. As Steve Durham
first 10 we'll forever have the Founders Badge.
Indeed. The first 10 will have a Founders Badge on our Twitch channel, so don't forget to try and get that set up. If you got $3 to spare, we would greatly appreciate it. It supports Formula Dream and ourselves. As we do have great racing down the field. Alex Martin, I think, is going to have to take a DNF here, as I think he's done for the day as it stands. As Steve Durham going at it with Michal Litwinski here. He's back up into third, as Litwinski has to yield the position again. I'm very impressed with how the racing's been so far. In the simulations we ran before, there were huge wrecks everywhere in the field. Will Duncan
other than that
19th.
one. The one that hasn't been too bad.
Shout out to Will Duncan, up 4 spots into 19th. Maybe that will just continue to grow. The tires tend to wear very quickly here. Look how squirrely those cars are behind this pack. This is where the best racing in the field is, but they're all oh so close. That's what I love about Formula Dream pack and oval racing. It's always so great to watch. As we'll go on board with kind of the trailer of this big pack here. It's Mallory Fonte as you see what's going on ahead. Watch how hard those cars slide through the corner, how hard they have to fight it. And you see big puffs of smoke up ahead. Everybody's scraping up against the wall up there as it's Lakatos into the pits here already. I wonder if he had an accident of some sort. So not sure if
See how
Lakatos...
far
he
you
is,
fall.
he is coming on out, so it was a quick stop, a quick pit crew for Casey Lakatos. Has done a good job. This is his first stop on the day. He's only got 6 laps of fuel in there, though. Maybe some kind of incident. He's got to get the spare car running. So Juno Maksimovic takes the lead, but we are, interestingly enough, here we are going to have a big battle for the lead. It's just Fobo. Oh, up into the air goes Fobo, and he's into the wall. Who hit him? I don't know who hit him, but oh, heads up, here comes Keelan Winnan behind as well. As Fobo is down into 21st. Somebody hit him pretty heavily, it seems. Oh, and I see Factor J sitting there as well. He's not showing up on my timing board here, but I do see him on the leaderboard up on my third monitor ahead, and it does appear that Factor J was
the last year champion, so not so good luck this year.
Yeah, last year's champion has been struggling big time. Jeffrey J-Man also into the pits here. It's always fun to watch how quickly they roar into the pits here. Nadu getting the call as well. But just take a look next time they come through into the pits. I'm not sure who's going to be the next one to come in, but yeah, just watch how fast they fly on into there. It's always really entertaining to watch because somebody obviously didn't set up the pit lane speed limit correctly on this track when they were programming it. It's always funny to watch how quickly
They always just flying in at Mach 1 speed. It looks like the Noah Ark Builder in another video we've done.
That is true. Shameless plug. Crockpot, thank you for the sub, King. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Crockpot. One of the first 10.
Beautiful little Founders badge on our channel. We love to see it. We'll have to set up our badges pretty soon, actually. I'll have to do that.
Yeah. I can go to the Fiverr and see if there's a good one I can
as Fobo, no, don't worry. I can make them. Don't you worry. As Fobo spins into the infield again, we'll point that one out. Looks like he's had yet another issue here as he's running right up against the wall. I think his steering is probably pretty badly damaged. Yeah, you see lots of issues there with Josh Fobo's steering column. As, it's not a good day for him.
That's not doing too good. He's just Rasha standing it against the wall.
Indeed, not a great day for Josh Fobo so far. Not what you like to see, and I'm not sure who this is. Actually, I think this is the leaders here that Fobo is holding up. So the lead pack is about to get a whole lot more close as Fobo is moving extremely slowly. They're going to chuck it about 7 wide here into turn 1 with Fobo in the way. Maksimovic takes P1. Durham just trying to slide down the inside of Fobo. Look how hard he slides that car, man, and he barely avoids contact with Josh Fobo.
There's going to be contacts soon in this pack. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Maksimovic starting to run away with the lead. That's, oh, big hit of the wall by the IECs back there. That's not what they would have wanted to see from their teammates. Both of them forced each other into contact. It was almost simultaneous the way it happened there. Yeah, pretty ugly there as Steve Durham starting to claw his way back to Juno Maksimovic here. As Maksimovic, I think, might also be held up by a car in front. Not sure who exactly that is. It looks like a dark-colored car. We'll see coming into the turn. Oh, wouldn't you know, it's James Brown. James Brown holding up the lead pack, and just now getting through is Maksimovic. As it appears Coral has had a shunt. Yep, we see him on the infield. Maybe too heavy of a touch with the wall for Coral there as we watch everybody zip on by. Only really one DNF here. It's Alex Martin. Everybody else has managed to survive and advance as Fonte and Bacon are into the pit lane now. It's a big gap for Steve Durham. Oh, here comes Litwinski down the inside of Jafeth Barahona again. Oh, they're so close to touching. This is really grandstand stuff. It's so much fun to watch these cars go at it here at Indy as the teammates racing each other cleanly for now. Hopefully that's going to be able to continue, and it does indeed continue. Look at this front pack. This is so fun to watch. Maksimovic now was held up heavily by a PCR there. I believe that is Coral as he got back on track. So the back markers definitely play a role in making the rest of the racing
pretty heavy right now.
Yeah, the traffic is heavy, and it appears Coral is still racing him pretty hard. He's leading this pack. As Lakatos is into the pits again.
The two IRLCs, I don't know if they touched slightly.
The IECs might have had a little bit of contact, but again, we mentioned the cars are definitely set up to be... Oh, what a slide job! Hold on just a second. Who was that just sent it down the inside? It was like a card trick of the IECs there. As I think it was Litwinski, but I don't think he held the position ahead of Durham anyway. Very interesting. Also, Will Duncan P10, he's moved his way up the field. It's the consistency of PCR that we've seen all season and in the past couple seasons. That's why they're still doing pretty well, even though they don't have any huge results. Because we're going to have some great battling for the lead between Steve Durham and Juno Maksimovic here This is exactly what we like to see at the oval tracks, too. It's been fairly clean racing. The wrecks haven't been bad, and we've also got 3 IECs in the top 4, interestingly enough, which is about what we expected. But, yeah, we see Steve Durham going at it with Maximovich, who's going to go down the inside of the backmarker Coral here and hopefully pull ahead of Steve Durham just a bit. So, Noah, do you have any observations from the race so far? Anything interesting that you'd like to know?
After the few incidents, it's been pretty clean, so it's been a pretty fun one to watch, especially with this battle here in the front.
Yeah, it's always nice.
Both these teams at the front both have the top speed advantage. I'm pretty sure Ariad Racing and IRLC, so it's interesting to see how that's helping them at these tracks and how it might hurt him at other tracks. But
yeah,
they're definitely at an advantage right now.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to help him at Avis too, so maybe we'll see part 2 of this battle take place then, but I don't even want to start talking about that yet because we've got a brilliant battle unfolding right in front of our eyes, so I'm not going to take it for granted as Durham is side by side with Maximovich for the lead here, heading into 3, and Durham pulls on ahead as the guys further back in the pack are just now getting past the back marker Coral as Tupper and J-Man are into the pits, and out of the pits they come now. Don't want to take away too much from the battle for the lead we've got here. Lewinsky is also sniffing that top position. He's not too far from being a big part of that battle. Here comes someone on pit exit that does look to be Kyle Tupper of Central United there. As Maximovich back into the lead. Lewinsky only 5/10 behind Durham now. And then maybe we'll get some team orders from IEC to try and hold him behind. We'll see how that one goes. As Lewinsky's getting ever so close to Durham. I wonder if he's got a little bit of damage or if something happened a little while back. As I wrote off Colonel Fleabag in the Blue Balls Motorsport car back there, said she could be the cause of some incidents, but she's actually running very well now, up into 8th place.
Yeah, she's kind of flying out there. Casey Licata still has the fastest lap of the day, though.
Indeed, Casey Licata does have the fastest lap. I didn't even notice that. Didn't notice that he ever swiped it. Thought it was Maximovich that had it for a while, but yeah. He's got it on back as now the fun thing that happens at oval tracks, somebody gets out to the lead, but they can't really keep the lead because you've got the cars behind them slingshotting each other to get back towards the front. So that's what's going to happen here between Litwinski and Durham if they can stay close to each other. They're just going to gradually rubber band each other back to the front of the pack. As Spencer Brown comes on out of the pits. Noah Nadu and James Brown getting the call as well. They're almost out of fuel. You're full throttle almost the entire lap here, so fuel does run out pretty quick. As I'm looking at the fuel laps remaining, nobody is good to the end, I don't think. But
yeah,
Phobos,
they need quite a few.
Yeah, Phobos got
a lot of laps.
Phobos got 36 laps in the tank, so that could bode well for him. Licata's getting the call again. Somebody didn't do so well with their pit strategy, I don't think. Although maybe I'm speaking too soon. He is still in 9th, despite all that we've seen.
Yeah.
Noah, is there any driver that you're interested in going on board with so far? Do you think there's anything interesting developing?
Some close ones between maybe Mars and Madison Brown. Mars chasing Brown. It's getting pretty close.
Interesting. I think it's actually the other way around. I think it's Fleabag facing Mars. Because Mars is 10 seconds
Holy
Brown right now.
Shucks. Did you hear that thunder?
I did not. Not sure what happened there.
That was the loudest crack of thunder I've ever heard.
Oh, Lord.
I guess it's raining.
Well, shout out to Connecticut for giving us awful weather, and somehow Jedi John now is ahead of Will Duncan. As Duncan being held up by the back marker. I'm not sure if that's James Brown or Kyle Tupper.
You heard that, right, Crackpot? Okay, it wasn't just me.
Interesting, I did not hear that. Maybe it's my noise gate on Discord, or maybe I just have you muted because I don't really want to listen to you. But anyway, here comes Steve Durham climbing back to Michal Litwinski as Maximovich is running pretty smoothly here up in front. As Steve Durham is 3/10 in behind Litwinski now, as we're almost to the 20-lap mark. It is a race that goes pretty quick, and actually I'm really glad that we're getting the kind of action that we are. It was a bit of a snooze fest last year. The pit strategy was just way too weird to give us any real racing.
It was very wacky last season, though. This season's been about much cleaner racing and much more hard fought. So it's been fun.
Yeah, definitely glad that it's going the way it is. It's been a lot of fun to watch so far. Speaking of fun to watch, Mr. Electric, Will Duncan, has been bouncing back and forth in the field. Oh, speaking of the devil, he's just put Jedi John into the wall. Will Duncan's killed a man.
Oh, man.
And is he going to be okay to keep rolling? I think Will Duncan's going to be okay, but he just killed Jedi John, who is somehow still rolling. I think... do you have your spotter guide pulled up, Noah?
I do.
If you do, can you check and see if Jedi John and MMM have the increased durability?
Oh, that's spotter guide.
Yeah, maybe not. Look at this. Look at this that's going on here. I don't know how this pack just formed. As soon as I think I just caster cursed Will Duncan because he is beached. I think he's getting on track now, actually. And he gets it back going. He is in 19th. We'll see if he's able to get back rolling, but that was a huge shunt that we saw.
I do got to say that that sub badge does look nice to your name, though. The first. So
yeah, it does, Will. It's unfortunate what's happening to you, but there is hope, Will. I will tell you that last year... Oh, a couple cars darting into the pit lane here. I will tell you that last year we saw one guy. I think it was Fleabag, maybe. I'm not really remembering who it was. Maybe it was Jedi John. I don't really remember who it was. Maybe it was just a whole team. But they DNF'd like the first 5 races, and they ended up being second in the team championship, I believe. I think it was Blue Balls actually.
It was Blue Balls, because Blue Balls had an abysmal start to the season, and they changed their name.
Completely turned it around in the middle of the season, so it's still a long season to go. And especially being a part of a team like PCR, I think Will Duncan's going to be just fine. Especially if cars in front keep deciding to pit, so Will Duncan should have been able to actually fuel
So PCR has pit crew and aero.
Interesting. What about MMM?
They have fuel saving and top speed.
Okay, interesting. So not decreased damage. Interesting. We do have a battle heating up at the front. Just look at this pack. There are back markers involved too. So it's going to be troublesome to navigate. We've got Maximovich, Durham, and Lewinsky. How did Ziviello get up in the 4th? When did that happen?
He just always finds his way up.
Yeah, he does. This is real treacherous stuff happening up at the front as Maximovich, Durham, and Lewinsky are up with, I believe that's Bot Brook. Yeah, I see a pink helmet there in the Blue Balls. And then they've got Keelan Wynn up ahead, who's also going to be a back marker. They've got a pretty dangerous field to navigate through, as Brook does pull aside to let Maximovich and Durham through. See if Litwinski has the same luck. As you see them right up there, I see 2 MMM cars, I believe, as well involved, as there's somebody pulling into the pits. Not sure who exactly that was. We'll see it in just a second. As it was Bot Brook into the pits, so is Ziviello. Is that a blown tire for Segovas? As it forces Durham to roll into the wall. I see some sparks coming out of Segovas' car. You see that, what I'm seeing, Noah? You picking up on that too? I think we lost Noah.
I'm back now.
Okay.
But we had the weather here is not favorable right now.
Yeah, I've noticed that. But I think we've got a tire blowout for Hayden Segovas here, Noah.
No, he was my pick to win.
He was your pick to win, and Colin Fleabag now coming out of the pits in 7th.
Silly Hayden.
Segovas is down in 11th.
Yeah, he's having a rough time.
Steve Durham into the pits out of 2nd place. So Litwinski will obviously take that spot back, move up into P2. As Barahona in 3rd, it is 1, 2, and 3 for inter-Europol competition as it stands. But yeah, take a look at that car in front. That actually might not be Segovas. That might be Jedi John. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think that is Jedi John, as we'll go on board. As we see lots of sparks coming out of that car. Yeah, look at that rear tire for Jedi John. As, yes, Will, they have fixed your car. It is pretty damaged, but it does appear to be okay. So we're taking a look at Jedi John right now. You see the sparks coming out. He's going to be losing a lot of time. Jedi John. Maximovich into the pits now for IEC. That means Litwinski takes the lead. Madison Brown up into third for MMM. So the usual suspects are doing well, but I think it seems all the MMMs are having troubles. It's either their tire or it's something with their setup or ride height that's causing them to drag a little bit against the track. So Noah, do you have any guesses as to what that might be that's sparking?
It's got to be the bottom of the cars. It's like going through the corners. It's just got to be some either high spots on the track and they're bouncing a bit, and it's causing the spark you're seeing.
Yeah, it does appear to be some bottoming out happening there. As you see a big slide from Jedi John there. Yeah, he's sparking bad. Don't know how long it's going to be until he goes into the pits. He's still got 12 laps of fuel, so he's going to be going for a while, but that car cannot be in great shape. As Fobo's beached in the middle of the track. He better get off the circuit. That's been a dismal day for Josh Fobo, I gotta say. He's had a lot of bad luck today. As Jedi John is still dropping like a rock. And his luck only lasts so much. As this could spell some good news for a couple cars behind him. But it's bad news for him as his bad luck continues. He did have a flash in the pan with a race win last time out, but not so far today.
No, it's always Jedi Jack to the first or last, seems these days.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see as there's Keelan Wynn down in the 10th place. Factor Bacon moved past him like he was a pedestrian. As Keelan Wynn seems to be struggling for pace as well. It looks like Lacatus is going to get him too. John now 3 seconds off the car ahead. Kyle Tupper gaining on him. He's almost a second per lap slower. Actually a second and a half per lap slower than the cars behind him. That's not what Jedi John would have wanted to see, especially after his result last time out. But
no, he definitely needs the momentum. But
yeah, it's still not over for him though. I'm not gonna count him out. But it's definitely very unfortunate as Keelan Wynn squeezing Casey Lacatus just a bit there. But, it's not going to work out for him. As I wonder if Wynn is just damaged, what's going on. But he is very slow out there today. You see some scuffs on his car, but doesn't appear to be anything that would be race-ending as it's Lacatus into the pits again. Madison Brown has... Oh, who's hit? Oh, no, there's a big stack-up. There's a big stack-up on the short chute as this is a mess that we've got going on here. Ziviello's involved. I think he's gotten on through. Steve Durham's gotten through it. I believe those are back markers. It's Fonte. It's Nadu involved. And, man, it's just a slope. It's creating its own yellow flag pretty much. As we see everybody stacking up here. It's not a pretty sight, as they're starting to roll on through now. But some stack-ups are going to happen. Some cars are going to go laps down now because of this. As Litwinski's involved, Barahona is going to start catching up to them as they had to get back on the accelerator here. And speaking of Litwinski, he's into the pits now. I would assume Barahona...
That was an interesting stack-up.
Yeah, I would assume Barahona's going to have to do the same, but it basically just created a safety car for us. I was getting worried. I was like, oh man, we're going to have to find a way to police this. But no, it created its own safety car, really. And it allowed us to kind of stack up those leaders just a bit. As Steve Durham is 20 seconds behind first. Litwinski is 15 seconds behind first, just about. We'll see if those guys are going to be able to make up some time. Barahona is running away with it, and interestingly enough, do you remember who I picked to win this race, Noah?
Barahona, but does he need to stop?
That would be correct. He is going to need to stop before the end, but we'll have to take a look here. Excuse me if my fuel monitor creeps onto the screen, but I think everybody's probably going to have to stop one more time before this one's said and done, except Litwinski. Litwinski's good to the end. Barahona is not, so it might be Litwinski winning, actually, when you look at it. But it's hard to say, because Barahona's
all depends on how long the pit stops happen.
The pit stops are very quick here. We'll take a look at, I don't know who that is coming in. That looks like one of the MMMs. Yeah, that's Fonte. Just take a look at how quick this is. Just slams it into the pit box. No pit speed limit. And Fonte is in. Maybe a longer stop for Fonte, but still comes on out.
Was that a good example?
Yeah, not a great example, but she comes on out and she's flooring it already. So there you go. You see how quick the pit stops are here and how bumpy the pit road exit is as well. Interestingly enough. And Madison Brown might be done. I don't know what happened to Hayden Segovas earlier either, but it's turned out to not be a great day for the
Definitely not a
M&M
good day
cars.
for
Oh
him.
man, look at how sideways Jedi John gets there. It's unbelievable. As it's about time for him to come
that
to
he's
the pits.
still able to keep it going.
Yeah, glad it's finally going to happen for him. I think that slide kind of made him realize, like, hey guys, I need to come on in here. Just look at how fast he goes into the pit lane there. It's so funny to watch. As Will Duncan's up into a slightly better position. He's up in the 18th now. Here comes and has. Oh!
Heck! Oh my God!
Oh! Oh! Jedi John, he's dead! He's dead! Oh, good God! It was James Brown! It was James Brown that killed him! Oh, good Lord! He just went flying through the air! And Jedi John is done!
Wow.
Jedi John is done! Oh,
Jedi John
no.
just got murdered by James Brown.
Oh no, that's gonna be a harsh penalty for James Brown. I
Can
don't
we
think
just kick him out of the league? That's 2 weeks in a row.
Oh Lord, it's becoming a Factor Bacon situation. Yeah, Jedi John is done, and he took flight. Good Lord.
I think James Brown might also be done.
I think James Brown should be done, but he's still out on track, and we see still Josh Fobo and Madison Brown.
Just a menace out there.
Josh Fobo and Madison Brown are also just taking a little nap on the infield here. They're going to be probably done for the day when all's said and done. Good Lord, I can't believe what I just saw.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
Yep, Barahona's into the pits now. We'll see how he can fare against Litwinski. I think Litwinski's going to get it back pretty easily. As here comes Barahona out of the pits. Litwinski now is rolling through turn number 1, so it's going to be somewhat close. It's not going to be a huge gap. Here comes Barahona on pit exit. So a couple drivers gained position. Steve Durham actually back up into second, breaking up that IEC 1-2.
Interesting.
Have you digested at all what we just witnessed? Is it still settling into your brain what just happened?
I'm surprised we're still racing. I'm surprised we're still racing after we just had a driver death on track, but
yeah,
we're gonna have to have a memorial lap for him after the race.
Honestly, I think James Brown might have been more at risk of dying than Jedi John, because John landed on his wheels. He landed on the divider between the pit lane and the track, but he did land on his wheels. The issue is
he went 90 feet in the air.
He did, but there's no halo on these cars, and James Brown just flipped him like he's a fucking spatula on a grill. And probably Jedi John went directly through his head. Yeah, I'm not sure that would fare great for either driver, but I think James Brown is probably a little more at risk for not surviving that incident. Anyway, on that light subject,
move on.
Goes back into the race. It does look like Steve Durham's going to have to stop one more time. It doesn't look like... Oh, well, we got another stack up. I think Josh Fobo tried to come back on track after being beached for a long time. He finally decided he wanted to try and get back into the action, but it didn't quite work out for him, did it?
He wanted to do it as all the cars were coming around.
Yep, he thought that was a good time to try and execute that, but he's flat-spotted badly on those tires, so it's not going to happen. As now we got a big pool of back markers once again.
An interpol, you might even say.
You might say an interpool of back markers. That's a good one, though. Speaking of interpol, here's Jafeth Barahona that we're watching right now. We will head on board with him. As we see him start to catch this car ahead. He's still got a pretty decent gap between him and Steve Durham, though. He's going to have to gain back quite a bit of time. As we'll take a look at Factor J as well. There's a big send in front of him by a lapped car. He's going to use that for the slipstream now, unless that's Durham. I think that is Durham, actually, that just slid right ahead of Jay, put Jay a lap down. As apparently we're going to have Miata racing at Concord, which sounds fascinating. Crockpot, I like that idea quite a bit. Interestingly enough, our all-star race for Formula Dream is going to be Miatas at the Opel Rennbahn, which is an oval track from way back in the 20s. So we're going to go Miata racing a couple times. Once in real life, once in Formula Dream. Noah, I'll throw it on over to you again if you've got anything interesting to point out that you've noticed.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on the battles, but they're starting to just kind of ease in. They're not really nothing too close right now, it doesn't seem. Everyone's kind of holding their own. I feel like they might do that for another couple, maybe another 10, 15 laps, and then really start pushing.
Yep, that would make sense. So Madison Brown has brought it into the pits. Now, she has been able to get back going, actually, after her crash, which is interesting. Josh Fobo also is back on track. So at least good to see that they've been able to get back going. That's always nice. Always nice to see. We don't like seeing DNFs. Crockpot meant...
James Brown might deserve one today.
What about James Brown?
He might deserve a DNF.
He might deserve a DNF. Maybe somebody will go on track and try to make that happen. We'll see.
As first sub, do you get to be first guest host, if you wish to be?
Would be interesting to have Crockpot on the broadcast. Obviously, he's not getting the job done on track, so the broadcast would be a good spot for him, maybe. Sorry, that was probably a little out of pocket.
That was a little ruthless.
So right now, driver of the day is Keelan Wynn. Looking at the timing sheets, if he can stay in the top 10, that's the only issue. As we did kind of disrespect Will Duncan a little bit there, but he is in 14th. It's actually not off. Sorry, 16th actually. He's in 16th. Apologies.
Still doing better than almost the whole Central United team.
Yeah, well, that shouldn't be much of a surprise, although Kyle Tupper and James Brown are both doing better. 12th and 13th. Noah Nadu, though, not having a good race. Down 22nd.
No. God absolutely just pile drived in that earlier incident we saw.
He did. Maybe deserved. James Brown is into the pits. Hopefully he doesn't behead anybody else this time around. Maybe he'll get beheaded. Who knows? You see a couple cars zipping on through the pits. Brown having a bit of a long stop. Lakatos has gone into the pits again, interestingly enough.
This is just like area.
It is just like area, really, as James Brown has been in the pits for quite a while. As he is coming out.
Maybe they're keeping him. Oh.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't blame him. So, Bot Brook battling with Kyle Tupper here. So he lose a little bit of time on the exit of 2, but down the backstretch, here we go. As I'm not sure who that is battling with Brook. It's one of the IECs. As Barahona passing a back marker there, that's Jeffrey J-Man. He's trying to pass a back marker, but Steve Durham continuing to climb on away. There, as we're nearing 20 laps to go. Gaps have really spread out here at Indianapolis. As I'm wondering if my timing sheets are correct. Now, for whatever reason, they're not quite right. We always do go with the results that Assetto Corsa gives us. As I've got one car that's in the top 10 that's not showing up for me on the timing board.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It is a little weird, but it happens at some tracks. It appears to be... I'll figure out who it is. Tupper in 8th. It's Keelan Wynn. Keelan Wynn is not showing up. He's showing down in 24th. Actually. Where I think... I think that's actually correct. Well... Yeah, I've seen him get lapped a couple times, interestingly enough. Yes, this is 5 minutes behind. I don't think SimHub's scoreboard is correct in that case. I believe Keelan Wynn is actually in 24th. It says he's 5 minutes behind right here on the Assetto Corsa timing screens, which makes more sense to me.
Yeah, that does make more sense. Yeah. I think he has gotten lapped.
I do think so.
I don't know, though, because I don't know if we ever mentioned him in any of the wrecks or anything, so it's a little...
I don't think so either, but Assetto Corsa doesn't just put drivers 5 minutes down. Doesn't just happen. Interesting, though. Very interesting. As Will Duncan asking how well he's doing on pit stops, he is good to the end, which could be big for him. He's going to gain a lot of position on some of the cars that are further up. He's got 21 laps to go.
Looking like a top 10 finish.
Yeah, we've got 19. He might be able to snag a top 10. You're very right. As speaking of, well, there's Jeffrey J-Man. We've seen a lot of incidents coming out of, I don't know if that's 2. Can't tell if that's 2 or 3. No, that's either 1 or 3. I'm not sure. Yeah, J-Man's in the wall. Got a couple cars slowing on up behind him, scared to obliterate him. It's telling us not to talk about him, so we're obviously gonna go look at him now.
I'm going to talk about Will Duncan. The whole rest of the race is only Will Duncan.
We will take a look here. So Kyle Tupper is fueled to the end, I believe. But again, some drivers may decide to go in and switch tires. Oh, Lord. There's Josh Fobo, and there's Bot Brook, his teammate, that went spinning on into the pit lane. As that's not what you like to see between teammates. They both appear to be beached, and somebody could get sent to the moon here if somebody comes in for a pit stop and decides to run him over.
James Brown, where are you?
Yeah, where is James Brown? We do need him to cause some carnage here. As, oh, Spencer Brown's got some bad damage there. His wheels are pointing not quite the right direction. As Josh Fobo and Bot Brook are kind of just like, what do we do? As Brook is trying to get out of the way. But yeah, Spencer Brown severely lacking pace right now. Something severely wrong with that car. You hear him downshifting. He's just trying his best to limp it on in to his pit stall. As that was Litwinski that he was holding up quite a bit. Interestingly enough, Steve Durham is also kind of stuck in this pack. That could have created some good racing there if Spencer Brown didn't hold up his teammate Steve Durham, but now he's just going to be way in behind Litwinski. Although Barahona now has got a chance. As I'll be interested to look back and see. Oh, yep, Bot Brook is in the air. She's on her lid on the front stretch. Spencer Brown, I think, just ran right over, which probably deserved. Spencer Brown, what a dismal day for him. He's stuck there on the front stretch. As yeah, Brooke was just sitting there. Spencer Brown just decided to spatula her as well. So the Browns have just been murdering people this race so far.
When's Madison Brown's turn?
It's absolute carnage on the front stretch here. Not sure what's going on. Simply lovely, the chaos we've seen so far. As Barahona almost made contact with the back marker there. Take a look at Litwinski, the race leader here. The only thing that could really stop him at this point is some kind of crash in front of him, but he's been lucky to avoid that so far, it seems.
You got sparks coming from the car in front of him.
Yeah, those are sparks coming off of... Wow, look at how he just went around Fobo like he was pedestrian there. That shows why he's in the lead. See that pretty easily. Steve Durham's having a solid race, I gotta say. So
second place, there's no complaining about that.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about Will Duncan earlier. I know he doesn't want us to watch him, but he is gaining very quickly on Kyle Tupper up ahead, so we might see an overtake. It is the closest battle on track right now. As Mars has gone into the pits, we'll see if Duncan can catch him. There's a whole lot going on elsewhere on track. Got Duncan rolling on through turn number 3. Now through 4 onto the long front stretch. He's trying to get into that slipstream of Kyle Tupper up ahead. That is a good point about if Mihala wins, it's going to be lots of celebration going on in the Discord chat. As Colonel Fleabag, unfortunately, going to have to pit out of 6th place here. She's been having a great race up to this point, but she is going to come on in pretty soon here. As we'll go back to Litwinski for now. Speaking of Colonel Fleabag, there she goes. In front of the leader, Litwinski. It's Mallory Fonte in front of him. Back marker car. It's Will Duncan getting ever closer to Kyle Tupper. You'd think that soon he's going to try and make that move. It hasn't happened yet. Fleabag loses that spot back to Marsh from the earlier pit stop. As she's already out of the pits. A great stop there by the Buwall's team. No, I'll give you a second to add anything that you might have. As, oh, there's Segovas.
Segovas is
not
not
to take
doing
your thunder,
well
but
today.
Segovas has not had a good day at all. Yeah. MMM in general.
Not really. A lot of good days, except for out of the top 10, everyone else has really had a bad day.
Yeah. Yep, even most of the top 10 has had a bad day, because Lakatos is in 8th, he's a lap down.
It's been tough. It's been a very tough race.
It has been a very tough race, which is what we expect from Indy. It's always carnage. Now, what would be really cool is if Segovas pulled out on track right now, right in front of the leader, Michal Litwinski. We'll see what happens there. But Segovas is very slow. I'm guessing he made pretty heavy contact. Yes, does have a little bit of wheel damage. It actually doesn't look too terribly bad, though. It appears to be all right for now. Ziviello into the pits for PCR. I think Maksimovic is a whole lap down. We'll see if the timing tables say Maksimovic is going ahead. As it does say Maksimovic is ahead. So, wow, what a day for IEC so far. Hopefully nothing can change that, but it has been brilliant from them up to this point. As Will Duncan did get ahead of Kyle Tupper up there. He's in 11th now. Yeah, as soon as I say that, Tupper's back ahead. Oh, big contact with the wall as well by Will Duncan. Now, like we said, that wall doesn't necessarily end races, but it can definitely be a nuisance if you hit it hard enough. So we got 10 laps to go. It's still a 6th of the race, so there's plenty of time for more carnage to happen. There hasn't been any shortage of that. As Duncan is asking about his damage, car appears to be handling just fine. The tires look shredded for Duncan. He has been on a long stint. As I will go to the drone cam, take a look at how hard he's going to slide here. Maybe he's going to try and send it in on Tupper here. Does have the chance. He goes down the inside. Not going to get past Tupper this time around unless he gets a better drive off the corner. You see how far that back end steps out. Those tires are exhausted. Steve Durham into the pits now. Barahona going to roll on through there, and it could be 1-2-3 for IEC. That would be an incredible finish for them. As now here goes Will Duncan through on Kyle Tupper. It does appear he's going to be back into 11th. Yes, indeed he is. Is he going to hold the spot, though, for the rest of the lap? That is the question. The car appears to be handling all right for that hard contact he had with the wall. Really, this is the only close battle we've got on track here, although Ziviello is gaining a lot of time on Maksimovic on those newer tires. That is a big plus for them. Steve Durham has come out of the pits ahead of Maksimovic as well, by considerable margin, actually. So here's Ziviello. Taking a look at now. Tupper's back ahead of Duncan. This is going to be a battle to the finish between those two, so we'll have to check back in on that later. But 9 laps to go. I think
Tupper might come down and kill him.
What'd you say, Noah?
I think Tupper might come down and take out Will Duncan just like his teammate, James Brown.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's obviously a mindset within the Central United team. That's what they do.
Quite literally is what they do.
It's what they do. It's what they're good at. Speaking of, there's James Brown right behind Felice Ziviello, I believe. Unless that's Nadu. I'm not sure which one that is. That is Nadu, yep. As Tupper and Duncan have swapped spots once again. Here's Ziviello. You see that side-by-side view. Right next to him is the back marker, but he's rolled on through. That's one of the MMMs who are going to lose some... Oh, Steve Durham, fastest lap in 3rd place.
Wow.
We have not seen that pop up in a long while, so we do have a change in the fastest lap. He's cut the gap down to 10 seconds to Barahona. Any way you slice it, a decent day for Area iRacing. A decent day for Blue Balls as well. Although Fobo hasn't had a good day, nor has Brooke, but they definitely will be happy to see a driver in the top 10 pick up some serious points after that.
Definitely a rough day for Jedi John, again. Gotta feel for him.
Very unfortunate to see. We get hit with another DNF. So take a look at Will Duncan here. He's still battling with Kyle Tupper. We've got 7 laps to go. Now Steve Durham now is almost shaving off a second per lap on Barahona, which is going to put him right up into that battle when it comes to the end. I'm not sure what happened to Barahona, if he's got some damage or what is going on with him. But Steve Durham is really quickly hacking time off. Juno Maximovic into the pits. Ziviolo gets that spot back. So that is big for PCR to get that guy up into 4th place. As here comes Steve Durham, still hacking time off of that lead of Barahona. 2 cars sending out some sparks in front of him. There's Fobo there, and Madison Brown a little further ahead. As Steve is still plugging away. He definitely lost a lot of time there, but he's hacking a ton of time out of Jafeth Barahona up ahead. Maybe this will turn into a grandstand finish between those two. I can only hope. That would be brilliant to see such a battle for 2nd place.
He's definitely killing time fast.
He's killing time very fast. And you see what's happening here as well. There are lots of cars in traffic up ahead. There's nothing really that Barahona can do. Litwinski as well has got some cars right here next to him. It's a little bit scary to see that Central United car right there, as I believe that's James Brown, but they can't really hold a candle to the pace of Litwinski right now. Durham's got it down to 5 seconds here. So these two are going to go at it towards the end. You see how big this pack of back markers really is. As Coral and Fonte are having a good battle up here at the front of it. Duncan and Tupper are not involved, but Tupper's getting the big slowdown, and Steve Durham goes even faster, which, again, it's not a surprise. He's had the best pace of the day. As Duncan going to use a little bit of slipstream from Josh Fobo there to try and rip this one back ahead of Kyle Tupper, but I don't think there's anything doing just yet. He's going to have to wait a little longer for that one. And Steve Durham's now got it down to 2.6 seconds.
He's going to have it on the next lap. He's going to be on that right down his tailpipe.
He might, but he is going to run into that pack. That's the issue. Steve Durham's going to run into a big pack of cars, which is going to slow him down considerably. Oh, look at all the contact with the wall we saw up there. As Durham's not really having any trouble slicing through these back markers. He's getting closer and closer to Barahona. Let's see if he's going to be able to pull it off. You see the green and yellow IEC a little bit further up the road there as Duncan once again goes ahead of Tupper. Ignore the fact that Keelan Wind is listed there in 8th, or 9th, I believe. That is 8th. That is not actually where he is. So we can just ignore that. It's not correct. So here goes Durham. He's got 4 laps left. So we've got Crockpot preying on the downfall of Factor Bacon, but Duncan would have to get into the top 10 for driver of the day to happen anyway. Oh, there's a slide. Who is that? Who's got into the wall to Rocket Racing? And there's big contact in behind from one of the Rocket Racing cars. That's Factor Bacon. It is Factor Bacon. And we talked it into existence. Factor Bacon and Jeffrey J-Man have had a huge shunt. That is a massive, massive crash that we've had up there. And yeah, looking at it now, Will Duncan does have a chance for top 10 because Keelan Wynn's not in it anymore.
Oh, that's crazy.
That would be nuts.
God.
That would be nuts for Will Duncan. Here comes Steve Durham, cut it down to 0.3 of a second, so the story continues to write itself here. As it's going to be a one-on-one battle, and Will Duncan is just going to need to stay ahead of Kyle Tupper. That's all he's going to have to do. As, again, Keelan Wynn not actually in the picture here.
This is intense now.
This is really intense. This is going to get good. So Steve Durham and Jafeth Barahona are going to be going at it here for 2nd place. This is going to be a back and forth battle. So Durham takes the position now. Barahona squeezes him very close to the wall there, but Durham is just flying right now. Doesn't matter though. Barahona is going to get that slipstream, and that is so effective here. It's super, super important at this track. But, Durham has flame lit under him right now. But Barahona's going to get into the drag here, more than likely, or maybe he's going to lose it.
No, Durham's just pulling.
Durham is still pulling ahead. Fantastic stuff there. Segovs, oh, there's trouble here as well. As Maximovic was slowed down quite a bit. Litwinski not having any problems, though. Durham is pulling away on Barahona. As Will Duncan needs to get that position back from Kyle Tupper. This is the time to do it. As he's making it oh so close, and now he's flaming too. Those tires pushed to their absolute limit. Oh, big contact with the wall as well. Segovas brings it back into the pits. So Duncan needs to floor it here, as Litwinski's going to come around soon to start his final lap. Here he comes across the start-finish straight. as Durham has pulled almost 4 seconds ahead. So, Litwinski crosses the line here. Will Duncan now knows that he's got all to play for. This is his last lap to make it happen. Although, actually, he might end up having one more if he's further ahead on track than Litwinski is. He is indeed. He's going to have one more lap to try and catch Tupper. So this is not going to be it, actually, for Will Duncan. He's going to have one more chance as Coral has had an accident as well down the pack just a little bit with Fleabag. Fleabag's on her lid! Good heavens! How did that happen to Fleabag? And now everything is unraveling here.
It's the second time Fleabag's been on her lid today, right?
It is. It might be, as there's Coral. You see him right there. So Litwinski comes on through, and if he can pass... he's not going to pass Duncan here, so Duncan's going to have one more lap. That is the finish for Litwinski. He has won the Hoosier Heartland Grand Prix. Incredible stuff for Litwinski, and now he's got to get out of the way of this battle between Duncan and Tupper. This is it for these two drivers.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Fleabag was in 9th.
That's true. Fleabag isn't right. But is Duncan going to get the position back? Is he a lap down?
He did. He got it. It's showing on the timing. He got it.
It is. Yes, he does have 10th place. Fleabag is down into 11th. Incredible stuff. Will Duncan is going to get it. Looking at the time sheets, nobody has moved up as much as him. Will Duncan is going to be your driver of the day, whether he gets Kyle Tupper or not. He's still going to want to get that position here. He's got a chance to drag race with Kyle Tupper here down at the finish. Oh, man, that car is stricken for Will Duncan. He's limping it across the finish. He's going to get the position against Colonel Fleabag. And through comes Will Duncan on a car that's barely still operating. That tire is going to blow up any second now. Fleabag, not sure what position she's going to be assigned anyway. I think 14th. She'll be the last car on that lap. So Hayden Segovas now, last year's winner, the last car to come in through. But oh
what a
man.
race!
Let's take a breath. Keelan Wynn is listed as 7th. Keelan Wynn listed as 7th. That is correct. Oh, this is interesting. This is really interesting. We're going to have to take a look at what happened here, but that would mean Keelan Wynn is driver of the day, according to Assetto Corsa. Looking at the total time, we'll have to see how many laps he completed, but if he did stay on the lead lap, he is driver of the day ahead of Will Duncan. We'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, I'll have to do some looking to see what happened. Because I thought he was lapped at one point. It showed him so many seconds down. It doesn't make sense, but we'll have to check.
But we do trust Assetto Corsa over SimHub. SimHub just kind of gives the raw data that it's given, but not sure why there's a discrepancy there. We will take a look at it, but it's looking like it is going to be Keelan Wynn. We'll take you through the finishing order. It's Michal Litwinski, a great day for IEC, finishing first in that number 34 car. Second place, Area iRacing, also having a great showing with Steve Durham. Jafeth Barahona comes home third to score big points for IEC, and then Prix Racing has a decent result as well. Felice Ziviello in fourth, Marcelo Mars in fifth for Rocket Racing, Juno Maximovich in sixth, Keelan Wynn, as of now, in seventh, Casey Lakatos in eighth, Kyle Tupper in ninth. That's Will Duncan in 10th. He had a great race despite everything that went down. And Colin Fleabag ends up a couple laps down in 11th. And then James Brown in 12th, David Lakers in 13th, Factor Bacon 14th, Valerie Fonte 15th, Coral 16th, Noah Nadu 17th, Spencer Brown 18th, Jeffrey J. Man 19th, Hayden Segovas in 20th. Then the bottom six are Madison Brown, Josh Fobo, Bot Brook, Factor J, Jedi John, and Alex Martin. So, what are your takeaways from the session today, Noah?
It was really hectic. It was a lot more hectic than I even expected. I'm glad it was, because last year, like you said, we kind of had a little bit of a snooze fest, but this one, it was all action the whole time.
Yeah, this definitely did give us some
good
action.
To see Inter Europe do so good, but yeah, it was some action today.
Yeah, great action. It was really fun to watch, but yeah, lots of action. Michal Litwinski had a great race. Good for him getting the win there. He won it comfortably as well, and probably good for Barahona. He probably feels great finally, getting a finish and finishing on the podium. So we'll have to take a look at what happened with Keelan Wynn. We'll go back and watch the video there and see when he fell down on the leaderboard. But I do think that he probably ended up okay. I don't know why he was showing that way, but we do use an external app to switch the TV cameras, and that's what gives me the gaps on my screen. So I don't know how much I trust the TV camera app. I don't know if I trust it more than Assetto Corsa itself. But interesting enough, we will see how that went, but if the game tells me he completed as many laps as the cars around him, then that's how we know. So,
We'll know soon.
Yeah, we will know soon, but I think a big penalty coming for James Brown as well. That was wild. But yeah, we'll debrief quite a bit, probably on the podcast coming up next week. We'll take a look at everything that happened. There was a lot. But until then, on behalf of Central United, myself, and Formula Dream, I'm Kyle Tupper, and alongside Noah Nadu, we wish you a pleasant rest of your Sunday afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in today for Formula Dream.
It was a fun one today.
It was a fun one.
Thank you for the sub.
We will see you on Wednesday at Avis, and thank you very much for the support. We appreciate it immensely. But have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in a few days for the Autobahn Grand Prix. That's all from us here at Central United. We wish you a pleasant afternoon.